getting crazy, baby, chill. Don't medicate, just meditate. You waking up now, well, baby, you hella late. Educate, look at what's going on, let it resonate, accelerate. Find your inner hunger like you never ate. Agenda is to push the hate, separate and segregate. Don't celebrate quite yet, the storm is coming, Q, for heaven's sake. Violence that they demonstrate, instigate and penetrate. The values of our country and our God is what they desecrate. My fighters ain't no featherweight, pulling out the seams of the fabric that they fabricate. They feed us lies, manipulate, intimidate through fear and force, forcing us to sit and wait till we come together, congregate, and then we liberate. Praying that you give me strength to find some love amongst the hate. Marching on these streets of blood till I see the golden gates. Troubadour and troubled soul.
Welcome back to the Tim and Steve Show. I am Tim Beard.
I'm Steve Morris.
What's going on, Steve?
Doing well, Tom. How are you?
Not bad. It's nice out.
It's very nice. We need to be outside working.
I know, it's getting harder because it's like now I've got, like, the weather's changing, so I have so much to do. Like,
Well, it's going to be awesome. The day out, like Wednesday, it's going to be 71, low of 50.
yeah,
Like perfect weather.
yeah. I'm sure it'll be nice.
It'll be the spring that I always wanted. You know, because usually it's like, when's it going to warm up? And it's like, oh my God, it's 88 degrees today, and it was like 60 yesterday. There's no.
That's probably what will happen.
But at least you'll get the in between, even though it's a little early in April.
Yeah. Hopefully it stays. I can't wait. And then I was thinking, like, you know, they're always wrong with the weather. No matter what. It's like, here's the weather. And it's like, oh, it's going to be 70 on Thursday. And you're like, you get closer and closer and you just see it drop and drop. And like, oh, it's going to be, 55. But at this point, they've projected a number so high that even if they're off by quite a bit, 60 would be fantastic. So they're saying like almost 80 though on like Thursday. So
I did notice when I was at Ocean State the other day, they were seeding the sky up very nicely. Took a picture of it.
nice.
Where they crisscross and make patterns across the sky. That's, there's nothing to that. It's just conspiracy to think that. But I don't really remember that much as a child. I remember you would see like a jet way up there. You would see its, I don't know, discharge, whatever, for a few minutes. But now.
Yeah. Interesting.
I mean, I only say that because I also read an article about how they're seeding the clouds in the desert to cool them off. They send up drones with electrical charges that make it rain.
Yeah. So if
From 2021, like that's an older article.
if climate change isn't going to happen, we'll make it happen.
If we aren't already, allegedly.
Yeah. So let's see. Came over for Easter yesterday.
It's very nice. I appreciate it. The ham was amazing.
Yeah, it came out really good. She just did like real simple this time. Just said potatoes, corn, and ham. And my mom brought finger sandwiches, like the egg salad ones that we all like. And simple, easy. That's all I eat. Like, I just did potatoes and ham anyways, but 'cause that's usually what I do. But
We all kept it simple yesterday, and there wasn't much food left either.
no, there wasn't.
So, I mean, it's like the good thing about it, I guess, is probably you don't have.
Yeah. But now my refrigerator, like, so my buddy Andrew fixed it and it was working great. And then yesterday, when me and you were standing over by the refrigerator, I'm like, hey, that's weird. It tells you on the front, like, what the freezer is and what the refrigerator is. And there were, like, weird numbers, like
A code.
something, yeah. And the freezer's still good and cold, but the refrigerator doesn't feel like that cold. So I don't know. Now I might have to get a refrigerator later today. And on top of that, I went out and I think Alicia was going to take the Mini Cooper or something to go somewhere. And I'm like, oh, that's not going anywhere because there's a big bulge in the side of the tire. So probably, the fantastic potholes and stuff on the roads around here.
Well, Springfield Road looks like Barton Whitney used to.
Horrible. Like the dirt part up to my house has been fantastic all year. It's been a few times where it's kind of been muddy, but I could still get that car through, which is low to the ground. The town's done a pretty good job, like every day. Like
I was impressed yesterday.
Yeah.
I was kind of like,
it's been good. And the wind, I think, coming across that field has helped dry it. Now, if you go past my house, it's not so good. But I mean, just past my house is fine. But I guess you get up into that shadier section. My uncle's saying, yeah, it's not good that direction. And but the actual road itself, like the pavement part, is so bad. Like you have to drive like you're, intoxicated, right? You're driving through like this, and if you pull over, be like, well, sir, what are you doing? I'm just trying to avoid the big holes and the big bumps up and the whole, like, it's just ridiculous. Like, it's at the point we should just tear up the asphalt on the road and just make it dirt, because then at least you could grade it. You know?
I mean, it's horrible.
And I don't know. I think like the last I heard, the paving schedule for that road was out like a ways still. Now, if I'm going to bash the Newport roads, I'm going to also bash the state road, because there's a hole in front of the Newport Health Center right in that area. That is probably the worst one. And I know I hit that a few times with the Mini Cooper because it kind of comes up quick.
I think I know which one you're talking about. It's about that big, and it's
It
a
got to
few
be
inches
deep.
deep.
Oh, yeah.
I know which one you're talking about.
So I'm sure the tire between Springfield Road and then that one especially, which, okay, good news is eventually, like, they're going to do Main Street and all the way up to through, I guess, to Kellyville this year, but they really should sneak out there and put something in that hole, because it's bad. I know they've been working up there by the old Ruger Mill, 169 Sunapee Street. They've been, like, cutting the bank back a little bit. I know they're working out there, and they're there.
I saw
today.
that. It looks a little nice. It looks nicer.
Yeah, it looks a lot nicer.
Clean it up, get some of that dead.
Yeah, probably trying to help with water and different stuff through there. So I planned on I was here sooner. So yes, they were like, you know what, let's hook up the dump trailer to the truck. I need to go to Casella and dump it because it's full. It's been, I don't know, I think it was probably like December-ish the last time I dumped it.
Wow.
So I managed to get, this long. It was $256, which really wasn't bad at all.
That's not bad.
Like 3,100 pounds. And so I grabbed that and I dumped that before I came here. And I came here and I come up here and I set the computer up and I was like, son of a bitch. The camera is at the house because of the Easter egg hunt on Friday. I took the camera to record the Easter egg hunt. So, an hour later, I'm back here and
It allowed me to get more of my chores done that I need to get done before Nikki gets home tonight.
before your wife gets home and kills you if it's a mess.
I just trying to get everything organized so when I come back, I can go straight into pretending like I'm going to do the fence out there if I don't get to it this afternoon.
It's not going to happen, people.
Well, I mean, if it warms up and the snow melts, yeah. I don't want to be out there working in the snow.
It's nothing good, though.
Yeah.
I mean, for you, yeah, either way, it's going to be, when you get back, it'll be gone no matter what. But I bet by the end of the week that snow's gone. Most of your yard's already melted just over the weekend. Like,
Yeah, it melted quick.
yeah, it's nice to see. Like, we're starting practice outside today, which is nice. Like, just, it's so nice to get out of the gym, get out to outside.
I rode around on the old Cub Cadet yesterday, dethatched the lawn, well, the upper portion, where it's flat.
Yeah, no, it's nice. I'm really looking forward to, we're kind of getting in the spring. I mean, still, like, this weekend was still kind of chilly, but it was still pretty nice. And now it's supposed to get even warmer, so like,
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
super excited about that. All right, before I forget, I want to thank Sunshine Realty for sponsoring the show. Teresa Sherman, if you're looking for a house or you're thinking of listing your house because you can't afford to live in Newport anymore or anywhere else, it's not just Newport, if you want to list your house, you can reach out to Teresa and Twin State Paving, getting into that point where they'll start here very soon paving, and you want to get on the list because oftentimes in the summer, they really fill up and they got to kind of fit you in. And so the sooner you talk to them about getting a quote or getting your driveway paved, the quicker you can get on the schedule and do that. And hopefully it's not as crazy. Last year, Jessica said that the cost of asphalt went up 3 times during the course of a summer, when normally once it's set, it doesn't change, or occasionally it would change once, but 3 times last year, which that means calling anyone that comes after the price increase and saying, hey, our price just went up X amount, so we need to increase your, cost of your bill, whatever the increase is. And it's crazy. Just like, hopefully this year will be more stable for them. But yeah, and they do seal coating too, which you need to reach out about for your driveway. I mean, you have time, but you really should buy fall, or at least get a price.
Yeah, I need to get a price. I was just sitting here while you were talking, I'm thinking about, man, if I didn't have to pay my federal income tax, I could probably afford that pretty easily.
Yeah, it's the tough thing with your situation is that your driveway's so big.
Yeah, I got a long drive.
So it's not like a normal house, normal place. It's like, oh, okay, it's not really a big deal. Seal coating.
We put it in the budget for like every so often.
Yeah. Seal coating's probably, a couple grand. Repaving the driveway, just a finish coat on the top, probably, $5,000 or something out. Yours is like a $60,000 driveway, and like,
That's ridiculous.
I don't even know what the seal coat would be, but, which, pros and cons, right? Big pro when you bought it, like, hey, nice paved driveway. Plowing this thing is great, especially in the spring. It's not like muddy or anything. But then that maintenance factor of like, okay, now it's time. Like, yeah, I don't envy you there.
It's a risk I took. It split a lot more this winter. I don't know if it's because everything froze and melted because it warmed up and seeped into
It's
some
been
cracks
a
that weren't
weird
filled.
year, though. It's been up and down, and it's been, some decent weather, then really crappy weather. So it's just been a very weird roller coaster year. Not normal. Wasn't like a really bad winter, but we did get a fair amount of snow. But then it was like scattered about, though, so it was different. So
Yeah, we probably got 4 feet of snow over them.
yeah, something like that.
Between the two snowstorms, it was about 4 feet for me. But you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
I'm,
that last big storm was a lot. So
I'm just rounding up.
yeah, I mean for the whole winter, we're probably close to 6 feet for the whole
I
winter.
think.
I would think, because we had a couple storms
Yeah,
that were
we
good,
did.
6 to 8 inches, and we got more snow this year than last year. I feel like.
Yeah, the last couple winters haven't been as bad as my first two.
Global warming.
Global something. Climate change. Look at that. Now you're making me hit the microphone. This crazy world we live in.
All right, sorry, I had to deal with that. All right, so let's talk about some of the things we want to talk about. Because originally I wanted to do a show on Friday, but I don't remember what Friday was.
Easter egg hunts.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was that, and then something else maybe. It's kind of weird how it came
Well, I
out.
had a meeting.
That's right. You had a meeting in the morning, and then I had the Easter egg hunt, and then I was like, yeah, that's what it was. So Thursday we had a school board meeting, and it was a long one. It was the longest one we've had. I think we left there, 11:30? 11:15?
11:45-ish, wasn't it?
Was it that late?
It was pretty late.
It was late. Yeah, it might have been that late. Because we had non-public after, because we adjourned like the regular meeting at what?
10:45.
Was it that late? Yeah, it was late. But so obviously had a long conversation about the Richard School and then the elementary school behavior reports. I think the numbers were kind of what we expected.
I mean, they're high numbers for.
They're definitely high. Like I think the elementary school threw me off quite a bit because it seems like the amount of issues like starting in kindergarten is extremely high. So it's like, ooh, it shows us a bad sign, right? Like if it's this high in kindergarten, you're probably gonna have another couple of years with those kids before you can get them in a pattern of, hey, this is what we do in school and all that. Where you wouldn't think kindergarten come in and you'd have that many disciplinary issues, but and some of the issues we're fighting too, it's a society. Like you're fighting basically one of the biggest things you're fighting is this right here, this phone. So more and more parents just throw their kids on phones because it's a babysitter, right? And it's easier. I mean, let's face it, that's the reality of the situation. Now, if you can give me a real good reason why a first, second, kindergartner or whatever needs a phone, I would listen. But at the end of the day, it's a babysitter. It's what it is. Whether you put your kids in front of a television or you give them a phone, it's still a babysitter. And balance is fine. Like with Adeline, we try. Okay, you watch like this much TV a day, and obviously then when it's nicer, she'll want to be outside. But I know for myself, like I'll watch TV. I'll be 40 in June, and I'll be on my phone and watching TV because I get bored of TV, which 10 years ago wouldn't have happened. I mean, yeah, if you're watching a boring show or something that you didn't want to watch. But so if that's, at almost 40, if that's affecting me, can you imagine what a younger child is dealing with? It's the constant stimulation to their mind. So it's like, oh, these kids have ADHD. No, these kids don't have ADHD. Some kids have ADHD. The number is small compared, I'm sure, what they try to perceive as ADHD. But no, your kid's watching TikTok videos. They're 30 seconds or a minute long, and they just do that all day. So their mind is constantly going to something different. And then you put them in school, and now it's like, okay, you're here 8 hours. Now you need to focus and do your schoolwork, and
Yeah,
it's not working. It's going.
I mean, it's hard just going from, just taking a kid who's not used to having rules in the sense of go outside, play, hang out, with mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, whatever. Then you throw them in there, and it's like, all right, sit still for the next 4 to 6 hours.
Yeah, it's just.
I'm not. I'm a big fan of like kids playing and being active more than they are sitting there trying to learn the ABCs at a desk when they're 5 or 6 years old.
Yeah,
there's nothing to back that up. I'm just saying my own personal thought on it is the more activity, which they keep them pretty active, but it's not the same as being outside and playing and being in a jungle gym indoors when it's cold, playing, whatever. Like there's just something to the socialization, understanding where you fit in this grand scheme of things type of thing. And then, I mean, it's hard. It's hard for me to sit still in a meeting for 7 hours. It's hard for me to sit still at my desk for 7 hours. So I get it. I understand. Like, there's all kinds of things that need to be looked at.
Yeah, and it's so much of it's tough because the cause, like the why, like that was one of the things that was mentioned during the meeting, which is smart, right? Like why is this happening? And it's complicated, obviously, but a lot of it's societal, and we can't change society. Only all of us together can.
Well, we can change our portion of society. And
yes,
I think that's kind of was lost on.
Yes.
The audience, which is we understand that there's laws, regulations, everything else, and some of them are good, and some of them are like, why are they applied in New Hampshire? Like, who is this person making this up? When did I vote for them? Oh, wait, I didn't vote for that person. This is just some liberal, and I say liberal in the sense of they probably went to some Ivy League school and got what they think is a good education. And they're sitting there in a vacuum making decisions. I wonder how many of the people making decisions in D.C., like at the lower levels, have kids that have gone through school, public school. I wonder how many of them went through public school. I'm sure there's a stat out there somewhere that you can probably find, but it's
such a small number.
But to me, that's like when we go to the town. It doesn't, like, I understand that there are laws, but this is America, and we also have a voice in what laws we want for ourselves. So if 6,000 of us come together and say, appreciate your law, but we're not acknowledging it, then we face the consequence. Everybody's afraid to, like, stand up and face some difficulty.
They've done a good job.
Like, sue me, arrest me. You're going to do whatever it is you're going to do, but that doesn't mean that I can't do what I think is right. Because you passed a law and it's on a book. Nah.
They've gotten really good at that.
I respect the laws, but I also respect the fact that we have a voice.
Yeah.
And we can rise up and express our voice together or debate, and maybe some voices that think they're on the majority aren't.
Yeah, we tried.
You got to have a discussion about it.
Yeah.
You can't just be like, well, what are you going to do? You can't. There's a law. Well, okay, let's get the law changed. That's the whole point. You ever listen to anything I ever say? Like, we can affect change. Now, we don't have enough money to pay off, like, the real people who affect change by buying votes, because that's what happens on at least the national scale. I'm starting to wonder about Concord since they, extending, it's sad. We live in it's a sad state of affairs. I try to wish that I were an optimist, but there are just some bad things.
Yeah.
There are bad laws. There are bad people that are elected to write these laws, even though they don't write them. They have a crew of paid lobbyists that write the laws and then give it to the guy or gal, and they act like they sponsor it.
Yeah,
they don't say they write it; they sponsor the bill.
Right. That was, I thought, the craziest thing about New Hampshire when. Like Therese was telling me, he's like, oh yeah, there's this bill up, and there was 2 people there from like regular community people, and there was like 15 lobbyists, like from Dartmouth, Hitchcock, and whatever. And I'm like, so wait, that happens in New Hampshire too? Like, because I know it happens nationally, but oh yeah, it happens in New Hampshire. So Dartmouth sends people down there and looks out for their best interest, which is to make as much profit as possible. And it's ridiculous, but yeah. So I don't know. I left that meeting. I know Bert did too. The same thing. Like, left the meeting, just felt pretty much hopeless because, your hands are tied no matter what. Chief Lee spoke very well about the juvenile system, justice system, which there is no juvenile justice system. There's no justice. There was just some asshats in Concord that passed a bunch of laws. And so basically, if your kid's under 18, they can do pretty much anything, and it's not really any consequences for it. And so then the school's hands are tied, the PD's hands are tied, the judge's hands are tied. So how do you fix that? Well, I guess we have to go to Concord and, force them to make a vote that's like, okay, maybe this is like not fair enough. And this is exactly what Bert said. He's like, and this is how Meadow died, like the book that he told us all to read. And it was about the parking shooting, and they knew this kid was going to shoot the school up someday. And the day they didn't check his backpack, boom. And then, but this is how it happened.
Well, that's not how it happened. He had already graduated. Like, he came in.
Maybe it wasn't Parkland then. Was it the other one then?
Well, Parkland was the one where.
Was Meadow the one, Parkland? Because I never, be all fairness, I never read the book, but Bert's always told me a lot about it. But because he already says the story is they didn't check his backpack that day, so.
Well, it's not that they didn't check his backpack. I'm pretty sure that they didn't check his backpack, and he shouldn't have been on campus, because I think he already was supposed to have been graduated. If I recall. I might be wrong.
Yeah. But anyway, they knew.
I read the book.
They knew that he was a threat, but because everyone, parents keep saying, well, what can be done? What can be done? And it's like, well, I don't know. I don't know. It's crazy. It's just completely crazy, insane. Like a few heated things that I felt like I was kind of attacked for, like, because in my opinion, one child that's disrupting education for everybody else. So if there's 20 kids in that classroom, and those 20 kids aren't getting educated anymore, or the way they should be because of one child, then as far as I'm concerned, then your child needs to either be in a different room, or you need to find a different place for your kids to go to school. And you can't do that. My kid has rights. Yeah, your kid has rights. You're right. Your kid does have rights. You have rights to go to public school. But when you're taking the rights from other people, their rights doesn't supersede 20 other people. Like everyone in jail had rights too before in society they broke laws or harmed people or whatever. And then that's just how it works. Like, there's consequences for actions, but apparently in today's society there should be no consequences for nothing. So
that's how it sounded like.
Yeah. So basically everything just
it went from talking about a bad behavior,
right,
to you can't do anything because the laws prevent you.
Right.
And it went to, like, I feel almost like the special needs kids. And that's not what it was directed at. It was directed at, if somebody is disruptive enough to where you're now infringing on everybody else's rights, at some point in time, somebody has to speak up for the other people whose rights are being infringed upon,
right,
regardless of the situation. And I just...
But it all makes sense now, though, because New Hampshire has the highest rate of kids going to homeschooling in the whole country, the highest dropout rate of public school to go to homeschool. The other thing is, New Hampshire doesn't fund education like it's supposed to. There's 2 lawsuits going on now. It's been happening for 30 years now.
Yeah, almost.
And I personally feel like New Hampshire is trying to destroy public education so that way they don't have to fund it, because the amount of kids leaving public schools is rapidly increasing. And then they send extra like $2,000 to charter schools. So they pay like $4,600 per kid for public, but charter schools has gone up like another, so it's like $6,400 or something, like I said, rough numbers.
Here's what you have to ask yourself, right? So there are these laws in place that say, hey, it doesn't matter that this kid is having an outburst, is disrespectful, is destructive.
Destroying classrooms.
You're going to have to put up with it because it's their right to do that. And then, so when parents are told that, and when parents have the ability to pull their kids out of school, like I would pull my kid out of school. Like if there were if there was an incident where it was like Zeta is her well-being is now in question, like her physical well-being,
Right.
I would pull her out.
Yeah.
I would find a way, even if I had to homeschool myself. What you know what I'm saying? Like I would find a way to protect my child.
Yeah.
And like I think that's like what the point is we don't want to get to that point. We want to have an open conversation so that yes, we're not isolating kids who need socialization so that they're not treated differently, but the kids who have bad behaviors that could escalate or negatively affect everybody else's learning experience, then what choice do we have? So you're going to arrest somebody because it's like, well, this, like it's not safe and healthy for this individual to be around others until they get some help.
Yeah, and you have all these kids that don't have trauma at school. Now they're being traumatized at school. So that's just another whole factor of it. Say, okay, so they have a right to be there. Okay, well, they've destroyed a classroom, 3 times this year, and we've had a lockdown in school because of it, and blah, blah, blah. All those kids in that class now are experiencing trauma, which is, potentially causes issues down the road even more. But at what point do you say, wait a minute, these 20 kids, 15 kids, whatever.
But you can't because it's illegal to do that.
Right. You basically just it's complete anarchy. There's no rules. There's nothing because that's your right. Yeah, we debate other rights all the time, like your First and Second Amendment, all the time. Like, well, those aren't those can be taken away. Those aren't absolute.
They are.
It says it right there in writing.
I don't want anybody to get me wrong. I'm not advocating.
Nobody said that. And then someone says, "Oh, we don't institutionalize children anymore," or whatever.
I don't know where that even came from. Like
nobody said that ever.
We were talking about bad behaviors.
Right. Yeah, and we were talking about bad parents, but like I had said, just because your kid's misbehaving in school doesn't mean you're a bad parent. Like Jenna puts herself into the thing. Like, I know Jenna's a good parent. She's also a teacher. She's been she cares. So and I try to be careful so that people understand. Please don't misunderstand what I'm saying because, 900 children I'm responsible for, right? But yeah, I don't want one kid to not be able to come to school today. Now, if that kid just needs a para and they're not getting a para, that's a simple fix. But if this kid has everything they supposedly need and it keeps happening, well, I'm sorry. This isn't the place for you anymore.
We need to look at it
and
find a place that's healthy for the student and healthy for the other students.
Right.
Like it's not, I say it's not personal. It is personal if it's your child. But again, I think that most of what the discussion was about kids who know better.
Right. Especially when you got into the middle school.
Right.
Majority of those kids are just acting the way they are because there's no consequences and because you've not been enforcing all the rules. They feel like they can get away with it. Well, if you put the hammer down and say, no, there's no getting away with anything anymore. It's, you do this, this is the punishment. End of story. Yeah, you're going to get, kids are going to fight back about that and not going to like it. But guess what? They'll get used to it.
Yeah.
Because those rules are there for a reason. And those kids are old enough to know better about behavior. So, and if they don't, well, I guess you have to send them, out for a couple of days. And then, like Donna had the best idea I've ever heard was like, okay, you get kicked out. One of your parents has to sit with you for the day when you come back. Because I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want my mom or dad sitting in school all day with me. Not only would I be in deep trouble for the whole idea about it, but just then the kids in there are going to be like, you'll get picked on or whatever. Maybe that's what needs to happen. Maybe that is the fix. So we got to do whatever we have to do at this point.
Yeah, that was the.
Everybody's complaining about how bad it is. You step up to try to do something,
and then you get told you.
And
can't
then you
do
get told
anything.
you can't do that.
You get yelled out.
Then why am I I seriously? I left the meeting and I texted you about it, and you had a different take from it, but I was like, we're wasting our time. I don't know why I'm doing this because, for instance, go to the town and you could be a selectman and it's so much easier because it's simple stuff. It's not the school part. It's so much harder because it's kids and it's situations and it's just so much more to it. So I kind of opened a can of worms. Like Friday, I got 3 or 4 parents messaging me about things and like, maybe you can help me because I'm not getting anywhere with this. And so, you know, and I talked to Dawn, and I'm like, here, and I was like, I don't want to like drop a huge amount on your lap because I know you're already busy. But she was like, no, it's my job. Like, just whatever you got, you know. So some of the things I think may be simple, and some of the things are maybe not simple at all. And but that's the nice thing now. At least we have a superintendent that you have an issue, call, right, and then talk to him and figure it out.
You may not like what you hear.
And she was in the middle school all day on Friday. And of course, Lydia's like, yep, she's there. And of course, it has to be like one of the most calm days they've had. I was like, it's just like bringing your vehicle to the garage, like all the way there, that, you know, the thing's rapping and making noise and bouncing all over the road. Second mechanic gets in, he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. There's nothing going on here. Like, it's the same concept. And, but no, I mean, we're all trying. We're trying to make a change. And I guess
really, it's not necessarily for us. It is in the sense of it's for our town, but like it's for the kids so that they learn and they come out of there as critical thinkers, and they don't just do what they're told and hide behind. You know what I mean? Like, just you just gotta help figure out a solution.
I mean, you couldn't convince enough of them during the whole mask thing to walk out and be like, no, we're not doing it, because that's all it would have took. And the board would have had no choice but to drop it. They would have had no choice. What are they going to do? Kids say, am I wearing masks? Am I not doing it? Lydia's the only one.
It's funny. You know, you bring up masks. That was brought up the other night. Yeah. And for a year and a half, 2 years, I took medical information, observations, common sense, stuff that I learned in health class that hasn't changed in 40 years, 30 years, whatever, however long it's been since I took health. And nothing changed. Whereas, you know, it's changed now. Like, while I'm on the board, we will not be fooled into being scared into, because you hear it every day. Like, every school meeting, somebody gets up there and is like, well, the last 2 years, the students are behind. It's like, yeah, I wonder who tried to tell you that from right over there.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody in this town, a couple of people, tried to organize and provide common sense solutions and recommendations, and to relieve the fear that was put into everybody.
Yep. And now you look back, and everything that
I said is correct, and now everybody's acting like it's some big surprise that we're 2 years behind. And it's, hey, I told y'all that. I'm probably going to find the clip.
Basically screwed a whole generation of 2 years of education. You know, Adriano's class, Alicia's class. So many of those kids have dropped out of college because they weren't prepared, because they lost basically 2 years of school. And you have younger kids that have lost. And how are you going to regain that? How are you going to regain that? But
you didn't lose any. Wearing masks and being separated was perfectly fine. The kids can understand you. They're mimicking perfectly.
That remote learning works so well. Yeah.
This was all said.
Mm-hmm.
Some form or fashion.
And then you put me on the wellness committee.
Only as my alternate. You got to go to one meeting.
Oh, it's just the alternate?
Yeah.
You didn't tell me that. You said, oh, I put you on this.
No, you're my alternate. I'm on it.
Oh. See? I feel better now.
But we do have to look at committee assignments. So it's a new board.
Yeah, we talked about cell phones, and that got controversial. And which Richards is good because they have, like, no, we're just not allowed to have phone. Middle school, and actually Lydia did say a lot of kids' phones get taken and go down there. So, okay, that's good. She says the kids fight with the teachers about it, but, oh well, keep it in your pocket. And then the high school is what, because some teachers have voiced concerns, some students have voiced concerns, like they just shouldn't have their phones because it's just a distraction. Like, they're listening to music and stuff. You're in freaking school. You shouldn't be listening to music. Now, if you have a free block or something, okay, right? Sure. I don't have an issue with that. You have a free block.
I mean, did we walk around with Walkmans back in the day in school?
Maybe in the hall or whatever, but you couldn't have it in the class.
Yeah.
You get in
we
trouble.
had lockers. Like, I had a backpack, I had books, I had a locker with a lock most of the time. and you put everything in there, and you go in between classes and grab your stuff for the next class. And I don't understand why that world has changed, because we don't have textbooks anymore.
I don't know. It doesn't, so much of it doesn't make sense. Like, and I get the whole, so if we're like, okay, no cell phones anymore. And then what? You're going to search every kid that comes through? No, it's simple. If it's seen, it's gone for the day. Because honestly, I don't care if your phone's in your pocket on silent, and I don't care because it's not distracting if it's in your pocket. But when you take it out, it's on the desk. I mentioned the whole thing with Emilio. Like, if he didn't have his phone, he couldn't have cheated on a test, could he have? Oh, by the way, there was no punishment for that. So if it was any other parent that didn't care or whatever, the kid would have totally skated off. Like, I don't remember what Andrea, like, there was something she made him. I think she made him stay after school or something. And because the teacher was like, I don't know what, So apparently that policy isn't written very well, which maybe we should refine that at some point. But come on, accountability,
Well, there's no accountability at the national level. So
right.
Nobody,
it's nowhere. So
nobody is held accountable for anything. That's the problem.
And
if you try to hold somebody accountable, you're a bully.
Right.
That's where, like, the new bully is, oh, you want me to do the right thing?
Or when you're trying to do the right thing, the people that come out against you, seen that firsthand. But hey, you got to do what you got to do. So, no, I don't get it. I don't get it. It's your school. You want to make it better, and there was a fair amount of people there. That was good.
That was good. There's some, the fact that we're having a conversation is good.
The most important thing, I talked to Donna on Friday. I was like, hey, I just want to make sure when we left that meeting that you left thinking that we were like supporting the teachers and like that we had their back and everything, right? Because I was like, that was the whole point of the meeting, is so that the administration and the teachers knew that, no, the board has your back with this discipline thing. It needs to stop so to make your job better. And she's like, no, definitely staff felt that came out of that meeting. I was like, all right, good, because I want to make sure, because, it went on so long. I don't want a teacher to think, like, well, the school board doesn't know. It's the whole point of this freaking thing was this. I'm the one I mentioned wanted behavior reports, like the whole thing. So,
it's funny. I made the comment about enforcing masks or whatever, and Mr. O was the only one left in the audience, and he was the only one that Zeta ever told me that would. Well, I guess Miss Martin maybe a couple times said something to her, but she was like, Dad, Mr. O was like always on me about my mask. I just thought it was funny. I was like, yeah, he was eyeballing me whenever I was giving that example of you not, because I was like, Zeta, why aren't you angry about this? Like, more so than, because she came and spoke at a school board meeting. Like, she tried to do the right things as a...
Her, Anna, Alicia, can't remember anyone else, but like...
Did Lydia go or no?
She might have.
I don't know if she spoke, but I definitely know Alicia, Anna, and Zeta spoke.
Yeah, fell on deaf ears. That's why we're there now. And then when we made the comment about just banning phones and not having, public input about it, we were like, well, two of you are there because of public input, whatever, so it should go to the public. And I'm like, yep. And we brought factual information, and we were still told, like, we were wrong or whatever. So what kind of factual information are you going to bring about phones, how it's a benefit for the kids?
Yeah, they do some straw man type stuff.
I don't know.
Trying to use logic, and it's like, not the same.
Part of me wanted Lisa freaking stand up. Like, what do you see? What do you need? What's changed? Because you've been teaching for like 20 years. So you're a good teacher. You're not new. You don't, nothing's changed in that aspect, right? I mean, yeah, society's changed, so it's gotten harder. But what is it? What is it that's missing then? Like, she did say something about needs to be more like playtime or fun time or whatever. And okay, do it. Tell us what you need. Like, that was a lot of it too. What do you need? What do you need from the board to make this function better? What is it? And the hardest answer was, like when Chief Lee spoke, was you need more counselors. But that's the biggest thing, is there's not enough around here.
Hey, we need more counselors, and that's one of the line items. It's one of our biggest expenses that I notice when I'm looking through all the
I mean,
expenditures.
me and you've said in the past, like, at least I know I have, like, our money shouldn't be paying for counselors. We're supposed to be teaching. But then on the flip side of it is, if you're not doing it there, you're going to pay in society no matter what. So if that's going to make it better, the education better.
If you want to get to the why is the destruction of the family and the destruction of Christian values.
Yeah.
Like, that's my why.
Or any values at this point.
Right.
I mean, they're just...
The country was founded on Christian values. Like,
Right.
it was like the expectation is that you all have a similar moral background of some kind, right? Because it's not necessarily any type, but usually with religion you have a guideline that basically treat others as you want to be treated. Just bottom line.
Sure.
And we have forgotten that. Everybody wants something special. Everybody's a victim.
Everybody's a victim.
Everybody is a victim class, and your ability to be listened and taken seriously and cared about what you think or say is fully, for some people, dependent upon how much of a victim you are.
Yeah.
So you want to get to the why? So yeah, there's the bad home life or whatever, but then let's back it up, and the real why is the destruction of the family unit, the destruction of thinking and being responsible for yourself, like being proud of your last name and knowing that, all right, I got to go work for something. Hard work pays off.
Yeah.
Like, people want to skip the hard work part. Like, I will not apologize for my hard work that started from a young child up until I was 42. You know what I mean? Like that was, and now I should reap the benefits of it. However, the country is sliding off a cliff, and so I have to go get a secondary job to pay my taxes.
Bad.
Because they need more money for whatever to throw at what? Not what I need. I need money to work on my driveway, work on my kitchen. You need a fridge.
No, Ukraine needs money. It's important. All right.
That's the biggest boondoggle.
Like,
Military-industrial complex.
Yeah.
JFK's been saying it. I was a part of it. And looking back on it, like, what good did I do?
It's actually, you mentioned that.
I ask myself that and have to answer it all the time.
Ruger's doing a thing on the 30th at noon, so right after the cleanup day. Basically putting out American flags for the service members that, the amount of...
Memorial Day?
No, it's April 30th, but for suicide, the amount of veterans committing suicide, the numbers are staggering.
Sometimes I question that data.
Yeah. Well, they're putting
Because
flags
there's not
out.
that many of us. And they say every 22 minutes or something like that. That's what it used to be.
Yeah, there was a thing that I had, and then I don't think I screenshotted it, but the numbers were super high, 660, maybe it was 660 a month or something like that. But then Tattoo Guy was saying is so many of his friends that he served with have committed to suicide. It's horrible. It's you go, you fight for your country.
This says 44 any given day. That's a lot.
Yeah, I think I'm just trying to zoom through here quickly and see if I can find anything, but I should have screenshotted it, but I didn't. But they're doing that on 30th. No, that's not it.
See, this one says 22 on Military Veteran Project. Wikipedia, which is BS, says 44, so that's probably wrong. This one says 31.7. So it's a lot. 20 to 40.
Here we go.
Allegedly every day. It's not good.
I know. So this says the Honor Bear Project, Flags for Forgotten Heroes, Military Suicide Flag Installation. Join us on the 30th. at noon at Sternruger, as we install 660 American flags, represent the number of veterans we lose to suicide every month. One large American flag represented 40-plus active duty National Guard and reservists we lose to suicide every month. 5 American flags represent 120-plus first responders we lose to suicide every month. 22 veterans, 22 veterans times 30 days is too many, obviously. 660 too many. So that sounds like a good cause to,
I mean, that right there just shows you why you shouldn't trust Wikipedia. The first thing they throw up there, and it's double the number.
Yeah. Yeah, I would think being this project's a big thing that they would know their numbers well. So it's just sad, and it's not okay. Fought for your country, for your freedoms and everything, and then they get back and it's just kind of like, yeah, thanks and thanks for nothing kind of thing. Like it's not right.
The world's crazy, Tim. I'm trying to tell everybody that it's not as.
But we need to pay the welfare and pensions in Ukraine. We need to do that. So, all right, I want to go.
Well, this is what bothers me, right? So we'll say something like this. Absolutely, you can argue it's probably a little bit more, a little bit less on any given day for suicides or whatever. But then, like, nothing happens. Just like you're saying, we send all this money, and I guarantee you, most people that we went and talked to, if we were to have, like on the Democrat side, if they're like diehard Democrats, you'd be hard pressed to find one of them who will say that we don't need to send that money to Ukraine for whatever reason. Like, that's their commitments to war. Now the liberals are all about war.
Interesting, isn't it?
It is.
Complete flip-flop.
Complete flip-flop. 20 years ago, they would have been.
Not even.
Yeah.
They were the anti-war people.
I'm telling you, 10 years ago, there was the liberals were leading the charge to stop body mutilation of young children in Africa. And now if you say it's a mutilation, you're a terrorist, basically, right? Like, that's how they try to make it out. And it's like, just in 10 years, you have changed your mind so much on that. It's just weird to me that but my point is, they'll sit here and act like you and I are crazy and that we're, conspiracy theorists or whatever. Like, they'll come up with something to discredit and throw away what you and I are saying so they can justify going on with their life because it's easier that way. It's a lot easier to just like, they're crazy. It's not really that bad. It's bad, people. Like, I'm just telling y'all, I'm not trying to be a negative person, but because there's hope, but it takes all of us coming together and saying, this is BS. Just like how we're all like, why is it a $28 million? Like, how is that even, like, you would think they would come up with a way like, hey, we have small towns that aren't going to be able to afford something like a project like this. So how do we make sure that they have good, clean water? Because we do it over in Africa, right? We have people who can take this can and figure out a way to do it and purify water and everything else so people can drink it. So can't we find a way to purify water on the way out so the earth can purify it a little bit more? Is it? So it just bothers me that we're dismissed because people can't wrap their head around that there are some bad things. Now, some things we might be wrong about or whatever. Like I leave myself open to be corrected because I want to be wrong on some of these things. I hope.
I don't think we're wrong.
But people like hear us say this kind of stuff and they're like, oh, they're crazy. It's not that bad. Oh, they're looking for whatever. No, it's bad. There are some bad things, and people really need to just. And it goes back to what Chief Lee was saying, and what you had asked for on the plea of the community, which is everybody kind of come together again. Let's get back together. Let's meet out on the common more for all these town things. Get involved. Get your kids off the phone. Have them outside exploring. I mean, this is a beautiful country out here, and a lot of kids do have a lot going on outside. It's just those ones that, we were latchkey kids in the 80s, and now they have cell phone kids.
Yeah.
which whenever you think about all the information that is available on this thing, and it does, like once you teach, like even in kindergarten, right? So when I taught, I would do Fridays would be, we'd work on computers. And at first they didn't really know what they're doing. After like the second day, they're going right to where they know how to get to a game that's, it's an educational game, but like the fun game that they like.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they can do it pretty quickly.
They learn fast.
Very fast. So my point is a 6 or 7 year old on this thing, and they can find anything in the world on here.
Yeah. Yeah. Miss Frigno said there was these 2 apps. I don't know. One's like a rainbow something, and one's another, I don't even remember what they were. A bear, maybe.
Yeah, but it's totally.
And their apps basically like try and convince your kid to kill themselves or kill other people or something like. And I'm like, how is this possibly out there and not removed? Like you talk about TikTok or these things, but this is okay.
You got to be involved a little bit.
You have to, and you have to pay attention when your kids are doing. Like, look through their apps.
Zeta got a phone because I was in the military. Nikki worked, right, and she had people watching her and everything else. And so, with the dispersal of the family, so she got it like I want to say in 4th grade, maybe 5th, 4th grade, 4th or 5th grade. But you know what happened for the first like 6 years that she had that phone? It was looked at weekly to see what all she was looking at, look at her pictures, her videos, everything else. Mm-hmm. And she had to come to Jesus whenever she inevitably got caught doing something that she shouldn't have been doing with her phone.
You should see the things these, like, Lydia's age. I see it at Lydia's age all the time. Like, the amount of TikToks and stuff they make with all these girls shaking their asses and all this stuff. And I'm like, and then it's out there forever. So, or you have kids that send pictures to each other.
That was the one thing that I do recall that Disney or Nickelodeon, whichever one, probably Nickelodeon, maybe Disney. Zeta did watch a Disney show or two back in the day. But anyway, that was this is forever. Mm-hmm. Like that was one thing that they did pound in on one of the commercials. It was like an infomercial or whatever for kids. But basically, like once you put it out there, it's there forever.
Yeah. I don't know. All right, I want to go on and talk about the Eagle Times. Kind of talked about it last week. Yeah. The paper is such a joke. And honestly, it always has been, but I thought it would get a little bit better when Jay Lucas bought it, but apparently not. So, a couple of things to talk about. One was, and we looked at it together, you'll have like 3 a day or something, a week, I don't know, on the thing for free, because I'm not paying for any newspaper ever. But there was an article about school meeting, and it had nothing about what the board said, nothing about what the parents said. It quoted a few things from Donna, and had a picture of Steven on the front article, but didn't mention anything really that Steven said about stuff. So I don't know what story you're trying to push, but didn't give you hardly any information on that one, period, which you could have wrote a hell of a story on that meeting because there was so much of it. You could have talked about Chief Lee's comments. You could, there's so many things you could have done, but whatever. But the one that really pisses me off, and to me is just like, you're just like
sticks in your craw.
Yeah, it's just more mainstream media rhetoric or whatever. Is the article about the deliberate session, and basically lies and said that Bert Spalding is the one that brought the article forward. It was Bert's article, and it wasn't the whole school board brought that article forward. It sides with the town in it. There was a mass exodus as soon as the vote came, and it's just such a BS freaking thing. And it's like, yeah, I wonder why, because Hunter is friends with the guy that owns the paper, so I guess that makes sense, right? And then there was another one. The people we had here tonight, managers or selectmen's meeting, devolves into wow. Say it again for me.
I can't. Where is it at?
This one. I'll make it big.
Where at?
This one.
Vitriolic.
Chaos. So basically, the article is basically, I guess the people.
I didn't think it was vitriolic.
Well, that's the headline. So basically, I guess the Eagle doesn't believe in free speech. They don't apparently believe that taxpayers should be able to voice their concerns. I guess we should just be, good little residents and pay our high taxes and say nothing and go with the flow, or they'll, write lies about you or misconceptions or.
So where's the cruel part of the criticism?
Which one?
Because vitriol is cruel and bitter criticism. I could see bitter maybe, but I didn't hear anything cruel.
Yeah, I don't know.
Did you hear anything cruel?
No, I mean, I guess Bert called out Hunter. So
At the deliberative? Or you?
no, this was Selectmen's meeting that
I
headline
thought
was
you were
for.
talking about the deliberative.
Well, all those articles that were written.
So let me tell you a little story. So back in 2008 or 9, an applicant arrived to my place of business that I was responsible for with a stolen Social Security number. And not only was it stolen, like he was trying to join the military, not only was it stolen, it belonged to an Air Force individual. So that's how we were, because we put it in the military system to like try to get this guy to join the Army or whatever service it was, because we did all branches. It was a joint anyway. So the ICE was right across the hall from us because we're in a federal building. So my captain, the girl, the officer I had in charge, she went over to ICE and had them look into it. And this guy's been using a stolen Air Force veteran's identity for like 10 or 12 years, however long it was, right? So I think they arrested him, right? They charged him because he's stolen identity, basically. So a week goes by, and then on Sunday, because I did get the paper back then, I got the Sunday paper, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, and then their former Marine liberal commentary guy put a whole article in the paper about how this poor kid, all he wanted to do was join the military, and these fascists at my place of business arrested him, and his whole life, all he's ever wanted to do is be a U.S. Marine or soldier or whatever. You know how many people he called at the MEPS to find out or contacted at ICE for his article? 0. So this one-sided article, this is my first 6 months there. This is one of those places where they brought in the closer to take it from first to worst. Or no, from worst to first. Yeah, I went there and I imploded it.
That's what you really did in the military.
No, from worst to first. And we did eventually, within a year, got to be one of the best. But my point is, I tried to find this article last week, and I did not want to pay for it. So I found it, but all I could find was the headline, because the headline, as soon as I saw it, I knew. Because I remember the guy's name, because he also wrote another article. Like, there's no scruples in journalism is what I'm saying. Like, that article sold for him because he played the victim card and didn't hold the kid to account. However, he got a hold of that Social Security number, which I get it. If he grew up and whatever, but he hadn't had that Social Security number that long to where, like, it happened when he was a baby and he had no idea. He was,
Right.
I mean, he was older, but my point is they didn't call one person. They didn't call me and say, hey, why did you do this? What were you thinking? This guy just wants to join the military, and then,
If you look at the Eagle the last week, you have articles that try to put Bert Spalding down, try to put Doug Ring down. I believe they ran Doug Ring's story from 2016 again or whatever. Why is the Eagles trying to go after people running for selectmen so hard? Like,
well, they'll tell you that they're not going after them. They're just making sure that the public is well informed.
yeah. Kind of sounds like, to me, more like election interference for the board, but yeah, that's just my opinion.
Is there such a thing as election interference? Now,
No.
if they interview 2 and don't interview the other 3, then yeah, you could probably, that might be a violation of some kind. Because if you do it for 1, you got to do it for all.
You have to
Or at least
it.
offer it.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it is what it is, but yeah.
Not one phone call. about that article about the kid who was, arrested trying to join the military with a stolen Social Security number.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. It's just
It's an illegal alien, and he's the victim because he had a stolen Social Security card. It's the MEP's fault, or my place of business's fault.
yeah.
And this was 15, 14 years ago. So, no surprise. This is why I'm suspect of the media. Ask questions.
The media's so crooked. I don't care if it's Newport or
Well, it's not just the media. It's anything that deals with numbers, because you can manipulate numbers, you can manipulate data, you can make polls and surveys. Everything is. See, now I'm starting to sound way too cynical.
But look at just this. There were like 5 articles based on, and there were 6 articles. I think they wrote 3 just on the Slackman's meeting. And, then the other one is like, oh, the select board is fully behind the CTE and, going to make sure it gets done or whatever. And so we supposedly are going to get our building permits, yet they're still dragging their feet on the whole land thing, the grant thing. And apparently we've got no other land anywhere in town that we can use to just put 3/4 an acre into recreation. So now apparently we need to build like a soccer field or something up by the town well or whatever. And I find it funny because from what I understand, Roy Malou left 65 acres to the town of Newport that abuts the town forest. So you can tell me that, which is going to probably all go into recreation anyways. You can't use any of that.
Trying to get a soccer field out of the situation.
Yeah. So we should pay more money out of the school's budget for something as simple as, and when we talk to the
Well,
state.
that's because you speak up, man. Well, thank you for that.
And
With your line of thought, anyway. That's your. So thank you, Tim.
when we talk to the state, it could be as simple as we put a bench there and it's for bird watching. They didn't say we need a field. They didn't say we need this. No, it was just replace it.
Now they're.
So now they're trying to.
Well, no. Now there's another person in that same department that the town's dealing with. It's not as easygoing as the other person in the department. So that's where the difference is. Is we were talking to somebody. Unfortunately, the town's been handed off to someone who's a little bit more strict. That's the feedback that I read or saw or heard.
Is this another case of misremembering, though?
I don't know, Tim. I really thought it was going to be a quick process, the way that it was explained to me a few weeks ago when I was I did ask, shouldn't we have known this already? And
Ed Carson, when I found it, no one else even knew about it.
well, that's the thing. Is a year and a half ago, we turned all this stuff in, and you'd have thought this would have been the time.
Nobody knew about it. Ed's the only one who knew about it. It wasn't even on the deed or anything.
Right.
Which I'd call foul there and be like, listen, this wasn't on the deed.
Yeah,
So.
whenever I heard that at the building committee the other day, I'm like, why are we stressing for this then? If it's not even properly on the books, is that our fault?
Right.
And if it is, then yeah, we need to fix it. But I don't think it's our fault.
No.
Because I'm all about, if it's your fault, fix it. And hold me to account on that, because maybe I thrown some stuff off to the side at some point in my life. But when I heard that, I'm like, so why are we there was no encumbrance or anything on the deed, or
Right.
what I heard.
Right.
And so, yeah, but it's briefed as if we haven't done something properly, but we did what we were supposed to do. They didn't do what they were supposed to do 20 or 30 years ago when they got that land. They didn't the rest of the story yet. So,
Right.
they've been out of compliance for 30 years, at least on that type, or
paper,
however
yeah.
long it's been.
But
now it's it's annoying to say the least, but
Yeah.
it's also kind of like, well,
But then I stand there and be like, or sit there and be like, oh, no, we support this 100%, and we're going to make sure this happens, and
Yeah.
well, we'll get you the inside permits, but
yeah, that didn't felt forced. That didn't feel true and honest to you.
No. And then once again, come to the school board meeting, say some stuff.
I I should have addressed the other thing too, which is the town voted to share the garage, right? Like it's a great idea, et cetera, et cetera. And then what he said was, and I'm still trying to find it or whatever, but like 30 years ago, the superintendent said that, like he's trying to create turmoil in our own school system by saying that there should only be one captain of the building, which I don't think the town voted on that, right? So that was like one superintendent's take on it. So the new superintendent could have a different take. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's two different scenarios.
No, lease. Anyway, there's nothing.
No, but I'm saying the town voted in '78, right? Because his point was to try to say, well, 30 years ago, the superintendent said everybody in this building should work for the principal, so why aren't we doing that? Like, he's trying to do this tit for tat type thing, but it's different because unless the superintendent put that up for a vote with the town, and the town voted to put the middle school and the CTE underneath the principal, it's apples and oranges again.
Yeah. And then they try, it's funny, it's almost like Bert got blamed for it, but then to say, that Mr. Spalding asked a question and Hunter was looking up on his phone, and then I made a screenshot of Hunter always on his phone. And
I missed that when you said that. I don't know
he said it.
If I was messing with the timer or what.
And I'm like, oh, so should I go through the whole last meeting and count the times and do that? And then I was like, so I was on my phone a couple times during the meeting that we had on Thursday night, and I'm like, yeah, I have parents texting me things like, oh, this or that, And,
live as you were.
Yeah, like legit, not like when Menahan said that. People message him, but like an actual like legit thing. Yeah, I don't know. It's just for me, it's like you want to keep continuing this game. I'll continue this game. Like,
well, I don't even really look like it's not even a game. Like, just do what
like
needs
a
to be
game for
done.
them.
Do what's right. Like,
yeah.
Just do what's right. Like the whole bus barn thing they've been trying to push us out for a long time, which I understand because I've dealt with competing organizations that are in the same organization. In this case, we're both part of the town, and so you got to play nice. But there's got to be a better plan. Like the thing that bothers me is, and maybe it's naivety on my part, but I thought because we were withholding, like not going to give them the $5,000 to go towards a cement pad, which would take who knows how many years of withholding that to afford a cement pad, because I don't even know the cost of cement. Like, that's not my thing. Totally lost my train of thought when I hit that, man, that buzzing sound. So totally blanked after I hit that.
It was maybe you're hypnotized, and that was the bounce out.
My point being is, what was the point I was making?
That we never said we were going to not pay rent. We are just going to do capital improvements.
Thank you. Yeah. So they worded it as if we were busting our lease and just not going to pay them rent, and like we wanted out of there.
Right. Lease that we don't even have.
Right.
We don't have an actual lease.
And we've acknowledged we didn't go about it the right way. Like, we should have rescheduled with Mr. Burrows when he didn't show up. Like, we've already done all that. Like, we've acknowledged our part in this whole thing. But it was never meant to be that's why it's hard to explain because you go to non-public, so you can't say everything. But like at the end of the day, it was to make things better for our employees.
Right.
To continue using it, to keep from having
issues like doesn't have a bathroom,
right? Like,
no heat, all these things. That apparently
like our employees deserve better.
Legally, they have to have better. So our attempt to make it better for our employees just backfired, and now they're trying to make it look like we're the bad people because.
Right, and that's the thing that bothers me is it was never done out of malice, out of anything other than to make the situation better for our employees, and it's turned into you broke the lease. Like, well, that wasn't like there is no lease. Number one. Number two, you wanted to charge 10,000, comma whatever number, and you want us to install and pay for our own electricity. Which again, now you're crisscrossing paths there, because on one side you have your emissaries that are, the few people who defend the board on this, saying that they need that money, and you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. Well, it's one thing to say pay your electricity, and then you don't need to pay the rent because it's all like that. That's one or the other, right?
They need that 5,600 to survive. But we can't fire him. He's the best thing that's ever happened in Newport, because he's brought $25 million in grants into the community. And then with this building on Sunapee Street, we'll get $700,000. But you're telling me $5,600 is going to break the bank here? Bullshit.
But that's how they're wording it. Like if you,
like we said something about the electrical thing at the meeting, and it irritated me too, because Barry had said that. Well, you guys had an opportunity to get on that too. And I'm like, okay, first of all, I don't know the opportunity back X amount of years ago, and I wasn't on the board, so okay. And then when Mr. Spalding brought it back up and they came, the deal was shit compared to what the town got. The town got a sweet deal. The town got a amazing deal, okay? And so yeah, the school hasn't jumped on because the deal is garbage, and yeah, you get a deal like the town got. And I don't know what happened there. I don't know how the town got a better deal. Kudos to them. I mean, I always give kudos to Hunter on anything that's accomplished that's positive. Like, I ain't gonna take that from you. I'm gonna take the $25 million in grants. Okay, doesn't give you an excuse to do other things in your job that aren't proper, or whatever. Or most of the town employees are not consistently the same ones that have been there for 30 years, because most of those people have quit, and then they cite the same thing. Town manager. Like, so I love how you just try to play all the sides, right? Like, oh, no, this,
yeah,
oh, no, that, oh, no, this, oh, no, that, no.
To me, it's one or the other, because they don't provide much, if anything else, other than the actual space, right? Like, they plowed a few times and had their plow facing the wrong way, which made it worse. And Caleb had to go out and unshovel.
Everyone in the town basically said, community. 111 to 18 voted for that amendment. But the reality, what you don't understand, is that's not what's happening. Yeah, we all agree, community. But that's not what's happening on that side. It's, oh, we accidentally plowed the snow into your doors today. I don't know how that happened. Or, oh, the bathroom's not available. Or it's just stupid juvenile crap that needs to stop. And the problem is, it happens either behind closed doors or at a public site. So, if there was a camera on this stuff happening, it would never happen, because people would be like, whoa. But
yeah, I
don't. That's not what I'm saying.
But the point is that it's not. We're not trying to steal anything. Like, even I think Mr. Spalding said, like, we'll pay the electricity. Like, we just need better. It needs to be a better workplace, man. It's unacceptable.
Yeah.
I used it all the time. It looks like something we'd build in the first month of Iraq, and then it would, by the fourth month, it wouldn't look anything like that. You know what I mean? Like, they stopped at the first month and never made any improvements on it.
Yeah.
Which probably, because it was supposed to be storage, and then we had the one bay where we could actually work that was concrete and everything else, and they kicked us out of that into the storage bay. That's probably a more accurate description of how we got to where we are, but it is not because we don't want to pay. It's because we wanted to make improvements.
Well, one could argue, why were we paying to start with? Because joint effort. So someone made a real stupid decision at some point and say, yeah, we'll start paying for something that we
I don't know why somebody
like that kind of
agreed to that.
Opened the door there. Like, wait, why? Why would we do this? Was it to cover electricity? Maybe. But there's nothing in writing.
Or,
so.
I mean, if it was been 17 years we've been paying that $5,000?
I think so, yeah. Something like that. No one can really find any of this stuff. That's how, like, handshake deal this whole thing was. But whatever. All right, let's move on to. I was going to the website, the town website, and everything. You remember at the deliberate session how we're talking like the water sewer bill or the sewer bill going up a substantial amount, and based on 4,000 gallons a month and everything, and people were like saying that the number was wrong, like that number is not. And then he's like, well, according to the EPA, whatever, like 2.4 people, like 2.4 people. How do you get a quarter or a fourth of, I don't know. So then he pushes the number, and I'm sitting there and I look up the same information, and the EPA says 10,000 gallons a month, which was different than the number he presented. But according to their own website, on the town's own website, 90,000 gallons a year is the average use for residents for water, and sewer is based off your water use. So that's 7,500 a month, 7,500 gallons a month. And they were pushing it for 4,000. So yeah, the numbers they're giving you are going to be so far off. So now you're going to piss off people, okay? If you're going to do it, just do it. Rip the Band-Aid off. Say, yep, these are the numbers. And yes, some people will be less, some people could be more, but average, based on our 90,000 gallons, according to our own website, this is how much No, what's going to happen is people are going to get their bill finally, and that first bill is going to be like, wait, you said it's going to double and it tripled or something crazy or whatever. Or you said it was $56, it was going to be that. Why? Because you were misled. Instead of just putting the numbers out, like you said, you can manipulate numbers. So if I give you a low number, it sounds better than if I give you a higher number. Why can't you just straight up say how it is? Like, just say it. And I get it. It's cool because we want it to pass, so we don't want. Well, why are you deceiving your residents? Because the poor people that are going to have to deal with this is the ladies that are in the water sewer department building area. They're the ones going to have to deal with the calls. No one else is going to have to deal with them. They're going to have to deal with them.
I don't know.
And they sure the hell don't get paid to deal with it. And nothing to do with them. They just do what they're told. So, I don't know.
Well, I was sitting next to you when you looked it up, and it was nowhere near 4,000 gallons for two people.
Right. No, it was higher. So, I don't know. I don't know. I feel bad for the people on that system. At the same time, too, like, 80-year-old lady needs a new septic system. No one's going to buy it for her, which is 25,000. So it's tough. It sucks the whole way around. The whole thing does. I don't know. I mean, I guess in one way, yeah, it's a good thing Hunter got the grants he's gotten, because we're only having to fund 10 million of the 20 or whatever. But it's hard for residents that can barely pay their bills. It is. Andrea texted me just before we started showing. She's like, yeah, I got this month's light bill. It was just under $700. So it's gone down a little bit, just under 700. Like, yeah. So speaking of power, New Hampshire Power Coalition meeting tonight in the Selectmen's room at 6:30. This is the thing they talk about, deliberate session, that we're trying to like buy into or whatever, just like 31 other towns or whatever. So there's a delivery fee, and then there's the supply fee on your bill. This would be for the supply part, which they can give us electricity cheaper apparently than Eversource. So this meeting is about this. So it's tonight, and then on the 24th, which I believe is Tuesday the 24th, is same thing. There'll be a secondary meeting. Sounds good. And I just mentioned at the deliberate session, like there was something about this before. It was like NH Power or something like that. You go online and do it. All that happened a year later is Eversource just jacked up the delivery price, because either way they're going to make the money they got to make. So now, granted, I'm not saying this is a bad thing, because if you can even get 1 year worth of reduced rates compared to what we're paying now, it would be a little something. So, but yeah, we have the second highest power rates in the country.
I believe it.
Yeah.
It wasn't so bad a year ago.
It was
it was manageable.
Bad, but yeah. That's how it is, all right. It's manageable.
But then
It's still high.
it out of nowhere, and then it's like, well, how is this manageable? Now
5 years ago, my light bill was under $200 a month, every month. And then it was, for the last 2 years, it's been, in the 300s every month. And now it's 700 or teetering on either side of that. So I just find it interesting. And then you're like, wait a minute. If you look at your rates, you look at your graph, they show you the different months and everything. I'm like, how did we use that little electricity in February, but in March used double? Like, things don't add up. But I don't know. What are you going to do, right? They're trying to force you to buy their solar stuff and everything. That's what it's all about, forcing you, because now you're like, well, I can't afford to do this. I have to try.
Well, then, I'm suspect of everything. Like,
yeah.
If it's too good to be true, it probably is.
But we used to be a country that could do anything. Like, this would be an issue. How are we going to get these rates down? We'd work together and we'd figure it out, right?
Well, that's
not anymore. And there's commissions and everything on this because it's publicly traded, whatever, public utilities, and it's such a joking, laughing matter. Yeah, it's just people down in Concord can set the rate. They could say, no, you can't raise it, but they never do conveniently, right? They just, yeah, that's fine. You're crushing people as it is. It's okay. Keep crushing them. Good times. All right, some good news.
What you got?
Coming out of the school, Newport Track and Field announcement. Congratulations, Taylor Fellows, for eclipsing the Newport High School 1,600-meter run. School record set in 2000 by Jana Hooper-Hewott. Fellows ran a 5:41.17, breaking Hooper's mark of 5:42.9. Thanks for the standard, Jana. So for 23 years, that sucker held up there. And congratulations to Taylor for a terrific run on a cold and windy day. So that's awesome. I mean, that tells you how great that record is. And it's crazy because Jana is like, so Taylor's tall. She's probably 5'8", 5'9", skinny, lanky. Jana's like 5'2". Yeah, she's shorter and stuff. So the fact that she was that fast, and like, because you think Taylor has an advantage, right? She's taller, but for 23 years that record stayed.
That's awesome.
It's awesome. It really is awesome. And so congratulations, Taylor. It's awesome to see this, the breaking records, and Jana, good. Congratulations for a 23-year run on that.
She still live around here?
Yep. Yeah, she's married to John Hooper, owns Pinnacle.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. That's her high school legend. A little bit of her died.
It's funny though. She's a teacher, but she teaches her own kids she has a degree in teaching, but she teaches her children at home, which smartest thing you ever could do, because those kids will be taught exactly what they need to know in life. And
says the guy on the school board.
Yeah, well, reality is reality, I guess. But yeah, like I said, again, congratulations, Taylor. That's awesome. And then this Saturday is that Discover Wild New Hampshire Day, and it's at the Concord's headquarters, right on, what the hell is that road? Know where those state offices are. Off exit 14, on the left there as you go up the hill. Anyways, from 10 to 3 is the Discover Wild New Hampshire Day. No charge, so if you're looking for something to do, check it out. It says live animals, hands-on activities, and more. So, and then we can't forget at the end of the month, Twisted Tea Can Pickup Day. I was talking to PJ about this on the Common, which was cold as can be. Oh man, was it cold for the Easter egg hunt. And we were talking about Twisted Tea cans, and he's like, oh yeah, then there's this other place that's like the Nip Corner, and then he's like, this other place. It's funny because he knew a lot of like different places, like, oh yeah, over here you find this, and here you find this, and it was in a way it was kind of sad, but it's true, I guess. Like, he's like, yeah, no, this is there, and he's like, yeah, it's probably one or two people that go up the road and they drink. Like, can't you just throw it in the back of your truck? Like, do you have to throw it out on the road? And he thought this year, as the snow is melting, it looked a little better than it has in the past, which he kind of contributes to, doing this clean up day. And yeah, I don't know. I haven't noticed there's a lot on your road though. kind of seen it.
Yeah.
And I look for it more now because being we cleaned it, you know, where most people probably don't pay attention. But
There's a lot just in front of my yard. I need to go out there and pick that up. Somebody must have taken you up on your offer.
doesn't that make sense, though? There's a couple 100 feet stretch of road. Throw it out there, not everywhere, because either way, you're going to have to pick it up, you know? But what
Yeah.
gets me is every gas station in town has the trash buckets, and they don't charge you to get rid of this stuff. So when you go, you get fuel or whatever, just like take your trash out and throw them in. And I get it. Like, you're driving around drinking and driving, which is illegal and everything, but you just can't throw it in the back seat, back of your truck or something. Like,
I don't know. I got garbage. I need to get out of the car before Nikki gets home.
a little bit of nothing.
Hey, while I'm driving to pick her up, I'll just toss it. I'm just kidding. Never do that. Don't mess with Texas. That was our advertising campaign to prevent littering.
Does that what? Yeah.
I mean, I've sponsored a road. I say I. John Paul took credit for it the other day, but student council, when I was in high school.
So the whole student
Sponsored.
council did.
Yeah, but John Paul took credit, but I was like, I think I filled out the paperwork.
Is it still sponsored by that?
I don't think so.
Oh, I was gonna say.
I'd have to check. Well, I'll be there tomorrow. I'll have to check when I go visit Jared.
So if it's still sponsored, I expect you to clean some trash up while you're there.
I pull over to the side of the road, break out my garbage bags and my can poker.
Yeah, pick it up and yeah, it's just end of the month. If you can help out, like it'd be appreciated. And it's honestly like it was fun. We did it last year, right? My family, yours. Like it took like the 3 hours, like from the top down to the bottom of the hill, which it's a pretty good stretch and crazy amount of stuff we found in like bags and stuff. And it's a nice little way to give back. It's pretty simple.
We were being pretty diligent too. We were going in kind of like deeper, not like some stuff you wouldn't even be able to see from the road maybe, but we did a pretty good deep clean, I think.
Find a tire in like muddy, swampy area and drag it up so at least get rid of it kind of thing. And yeah,
hopefully they pick those tires up.
There
Guess
you
we'll
go.
find out if they're
still there. Be like, PJ, forgot those tires. Yeah, well, you're off to Texas, so we solo shows and call into you shows and maybe some guests for the show too.
You should have some guest hosts on here. You might find somebody that's better at communicating than I am.
Just
I lose my train of thought with a simple thing like this. It took me like a minute to refocus my story. Well, I tried to wake up at 5 to call Nikki at 3.
How'd that work?
and It did not work very well. I didn't miss the alarm, so I obviously woke up, but I don't recall it. Must have walked over there, turned it off, and then snuggled right back in the bed.
yeah.
And then I spazzed out at 6 whenever I did wake up, and I'm like, Nikki, are you? She didn't answer her phone. She texted me back a few minutes later, said she was already in line at the airport. So I felt good because I was like, man, if I made her miss that, I'm going to have to drive to Boston tonight and drive to get there tomorrow.
You fly out of Boston? How are you getting there?
Bus.
So on Bill bringing you?
I don't know. He drove Nikki the other day.
Did he?
She said he didn't know her, but she knew him.
A lot of people do that. That's why they're making that bigger, that parking ride. You didn't notice where they're doing any work at. I give you, it was early.
When I first moved here, Zeta and I, because they ran later, like now the last bus comes back like at 8. So it's not even really worth it. But we went to the Red Sox-Astros game back in 2018, I think. We took a bus back like at 11 o'clock at night. So we got to watch the game. Didn't have to drive and put up with anything. It was for me. It was nice and relaxing because I hated Boston traffic when I was in college, and I still do not like it. No desire to drive. And I mean, like if we go, I'm like, here's the keys.
Yeah, Steve will take your vehicle. I'll drive, and Steve's like, cool, that works for me. I'm like, all right, it works for me too. I don't mind it. I just don't like sitting in traffic when it doesn't move. But for the most part, if you hit it right. But if you don't hit it right, yeah, you're there for a long time.
This is the perfect size, 35 to 50. Even though I did pick up a little speed coming down whatever Barton Whitney turns into after the curve when I caught up to you the other day. I was like, I'm surprised you didn't say something to me.
Driving like Nikki.
Not quite, but I was close.
If you want to go somewhere in a hurry, you want Nikki to drive. If you have all day, let Granddaddy drive. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. Thanks again to Twin State Paving and Sunshine Realty for sponsoring the show. If you're interested in sponsoring the show, reach out, timandsteveshownh@gmail.com. You can subscribe to our YouTube, find us on YouTube, on Facebook, on Rumble, Spotify somehow. I haven't figured that exactly out yet, but when you search it and it doesn't come up, I'm like, why am I uploading these? It doesn't come up.
Really?
Yeah, I haven't figured that out yet. But I probably should just find an elementary school kid that can figure it out for me, because they probably know more about it than I
He's
do.
like, here, let me see your phone, Tim.
Yes.
I'll fix this in
2 seconds is boom, you're good. And somehow you're like number 10 in the country now. Like, wow. That, yeah, definitely. All right, guys, thanks for watching. We'll talk to you soon.
God's servants, blades out, cut the grass till we see the serpents.
One day I hope you see the truth. This puppet show stays on because of you fools.